Focusing
You
on
know?
being happy. Focus on happiness and what you enjoy doing, and it rolls from there. I love that.
Well, happiness is another big one, but you need a whole another hour with
We
me for
need a
that
whole
topic.
other hour, and I
I'm not
can't
gonna open that now.
and I can't take any more of it. But there's a few more little, let's say, little fun things that I want to
Yeah,
do. So
sure, shoot.
I got a little thing I want to do that's called What's Trending, because I got
Ooh,
gimmicks.
I
I
like
got
that.
stories. I got gimmicks. So you're in India now, aren't you? Right.
Yes,
So
I am.
let's have a look. I want to see on Twitter.
What's trending? Coronavirus in Asia is what's
Well,
trending.
on Twitter right now, it could be something else because at the moment,
Yeah, but don't do India. Do Singapore, which is my home, or do Southeast Asia. I'm in India because I'm in India, escaping the fucking virus. But the
all right.
entire talk, vibe, all my decisions, every single thing that's happening in Southeast Asia or Asia Pacific is trending because of the coronavirus, bro.
Well,
100%.
that is pretty much. I mean, aside from some of the political stuff around Trump,
Trump in India.
Trump says he wants to leave controversial Indian citizenship law to India.
Yeah.
So we don't have to talk
No,
about
that's more India. You type in Asia, man, and it's coronavirus. Just globally, I think trending is coronavirus.
in Singapore. What is trending right now is yeah, it's all
I mean, of course, dude. I mean,
it's
our
all
entire. That's
yeah,
why
yeah.
I'm in India. I'm supposed to be back in Singapore yesterday. I changed my tickets and flights. Yeah, the entire business is being affected.
It
But
is
anyways, now
crazy.
that you know that's trending, okay, what do we? What's the?
Well, the whole premise is we look at what's trending and we have a few minutes to just kind of talk about these random things.
Mm,
It's less random because we kind
mm,
of could expect it that it was going to be Corona. Let's not get into any kind of too deep stuff around that and conspiracy
mm.
theories or whatnot and the why and the how. But
No.
I guess what would be cool, or not cool, but interesting is you touched on it, how it's impacting individuals from like a business
Dude,
perspective. And like
I tell you,
you have changed a lot in the last few weeks.
I'm literally experiencing the disruption of COVID. Let's call it COVID because coronavirus is the old word. But COVID-19, right? Dude, for the last 6 weeks, my entire life and those of everybody around me have been 99% disrupted by COVID. So in Singapore, we put an orange alert, the government put an orange alert, um, and that's one shot of red. Quarantines, business continuity protocols, forced work from home orders, schools shutting, all sorts of crazy shit. Uh, Businesses having to put staff in different offices and no meetings and all sorts of nonsense, right? What I want to talk about though is just for this last 2 minutes, what I think is the bigger story than the disruption
Hmm.
is the fear factor and what the fear factor can do, which the real disruption is not from this stupid fucking virus, it's from the fear factor.
So we're talking
And
media, and
in general, bro, humanity, human being,
yeah.
right? Our own sense of self-preservation. And then this is that book Sapiens that I've been reading recently, and that gave me a lot of insight around this topic. Because we as a human race have overcome war, famine, and plague, we have overcome disease, right? And because of the evolving religions of humanism, right, we believe life is sacred. So saving of lives and any death of humanity for reasons to do with disease is something that's a very big deal in our world. Right? Pain, disease, famine, plague, all of these things we have overcome. So when something new like this comes up, I think that resuscitates the human condition around, I would say, the society conditioning, social conditioning.
Well,
So
and that
suddenly that,
human condition
you
though,
know,
that innate fight or flight primal, like,
yes, yes,
it's both.
exactly,
But
exactly.
also
It's those layers.
the propagation of that by the media. That's why I mentioned the media before, because
Yes.
it's not just us, like me here. I know what's happening, but I don't know the degree of what's happening actually, at the core where your part of the world is until you tell me or I watch the news, perhaps. So there's different layers to how that fear gets triggered.
For sure. The media is 100%, I would say, part of this fear factor. However, um, I think the second thing that's coming out of this fear factor is the xenophobia.
Oh, really? Oh,
Dude,
okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, no.
fucking
Yeah.
so many countries have blocked any Chinese nationals entering their borders. Dude, in Singapore, which is a Chinese country by race, Singaporean Chinese are now having xenophobia towards mainland Chinese. For
Mm.
fuck's sake, even for me the other day, I was in the food court. There was a Chinese dude there. He was coughing. I'm like, oh my god, oh my god. You see in Europe, you hear about it in the UK. It's happening all
Yeah,
over.
yeah,
So the xenophobia, and it's unfortunate because there's another third thing that's tied to this whole thing, which is China's story, right? The China story has dominated the last decade of our progress. The wider Asia story is dominating and will dominate that story of the next century. Right? This is Asia's century. And with the whole trade war with US China, with the rebalancing of power and all of this stuff that's been happening, you know, and then the Hong Kong protests, which are all to do with the democratic things and the patrolling. So for this to come up, and the cause of it obviously being this wild game eating of fucking bats and whatever shit, um, this has really affected the China story.
Mm.
And the China story, one thing is to do with its place in the world. The other thing is to do with the economic fundamental linkages. So, for example, China is the world's factory, right? So, because of COVID, factories are shut. The China's supply chain disruptions are massive. And then, because of the fear factor, people have stopped going out to eateries, to shops, to F&B, to transport. So, when in Singapore, when I left, I flew 9 days ago, 10 days ago. I have never, in the 27 years that I've lived in Singapore, ever seen the airport so empty, actually. It was eerie. It's the world's
Crazy.
second or third busiest airport.
Mm.
And then you look at I'm looking right now all around. I mean, there's no F&B sales. There's no sales going on. The malls of Singapore are empty. So when I was in Hong Kong, I was in Hong Kong just before I came to Singapore. I'm glad I got there. I've been like in the epicenter of all this shit. That's why I'm in India now. I'm like, fuck it, I'm not going back. India, the COVID can't survive here, baby. We're like, come, you can't survive here. This we got immunes that will do the fuck all. This ain't nothing. Bring Ebola, that will be scared. So India and Africa were like, fuck off, COVID. Go hit white people. you know. So India's cool. We're no issues over here. But shit, the shit is spreading in Italy now.
Yeah.
It's spreading
So.
in South Korea.
Yeah.
And what's interesting, and when Singapore took those drastic draconian measures that they knew would greatly impact the economy, guess what? Within 15, 20 days, they've managed to control it. They've controlled the spread. They've contained it. They've blocked their borders from all. It's pretty serious fucking efforts over there,
Mm.
right? But that completely decimates the economy. The government has to just announce in the budget, $5.5 billion care package to support the COVID disruption in a country that's 6,700,000 people, right? So what I'm trying to say is that this shit is real. Soon, another 2 months, you guys will start to see your supermarket shelves cleared.
Mm.
You know, I think the panic buying and the panic hysteria is just starting on your shores. If you look at the actual statistics, the influenza in the world kills a lot more people. Normal flu kills a lot more people than COVID, right? But it's because it's unknown. It's because it's spreading in this way. It's
Yeah. Yeah.
because it's the fear factor. And I tell you, my brother, like, my prediction is that this is going to be part of the new normal. Um, I don't think it's going away forever. I don't think it's going to be a global pandemic. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe the way we define pandemics these days versus what the plague used to be 300 years ago is very different. Right? But I think it is easily the number one trending topic in life, conversations, business impact, fucking wow, yeah, it's trending like a motherfucker.
It is. It is.